Hey everyone, it's Randy from Dreamy Bohemian. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you haven't, please like and subscribe to my channel if you like artsy fartsy stuff. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day today. I'm coming on really quickly I always say that, don't I? Really quickly, and then it's not. So scratch that. I'm coming on today to show you a different jelly plate technique involving stencils. The last time we did it, we laid our stencils down on the jelly plate first, and this time we're going to lay paint down on the jelly plate first and go from there. So I also have some stamps over here on the side that I want to show you a process with. I have all my favorite paints around, and then I've got a couple of 7-inch brayers. And I don't really clean these off unless it's like really time, because the paint dries on there and it's really not that much of an issue. Sometimes I'll have to get some little blobs off like I'm doing right now, but I have two, and one I use for cool colors and one I use for warm colors, and that's just really helpful on not spreading your colors around sometimes that make mud. You know, we don't want to do that. And I have some rolling papers over here, which is what I'm just using to get off excess paint off my roller in the case that it's needed. And I always save those and use those because they make fun art. So what I want to do first is just get some paint on my jelly plate. And let's see what color we're going to use here. I'm going to use a darker pink color, just to start off, and then we'll probably go over top of that with some antique white or something of that nature. And I just used the wrong brayer. Let's see. I don't want to do that. Let me get that off of there. Here we go. I love these larger brayers. Unlike the smaller brayers, they don't tend to leave as many lines on your plate, because the smaller ones, they're about 4 or 5 inches. They leave a line here, and I just don't really like that. All right, so that is our first step. We're just going to get a thin layer of paint down. We're not really worried about anything but getting it out smoothly and evenly on the plate. Usually I go for a darker color to lay down, and then I use a lighter color to pick up. So with this process, once I get the stencil on there, I'm going to lay a fresh piece of paper over the top, and then I'm going to press pretty heavily into that stencil. My jelly plate is a 9x12, and my stencils are 9x12, and my paper is 8.5 by 11, and I'm just using 24-pound copy paper. I wouldn't use anything less than that, and sometimes it still will even tear the paper a little bit, but if you use the right amount of paint and pressure, you usually won't have a problem, but sometimes I still do. So now that I've got all the specks out, I'm just going to go, and this stencil is a Klimt stencil, and it has a lot of little swirls in it, and so I'm just working this paper into those swirls to make sure that I'm getting all of my paper into the negative spaces of this stencil. And what we're going to be left with is the paint that's actually underneath the stencil itself. So I think that's pretty good. I haven't used my jelly plate yet, so I am also trying to warm it up a bit. So if you get frustrated with my time of pressing the paper into the jelly plate, that is why. You have to make sure you get everything in there really well. And look how beautiful that print is coming off of here. Isn't that so pretty? So I'm just going to set that aside. And now you don't really see any paint. So what we're going to do is lift up this stencil And now you see what is left of that stencil on here. And usually I have like an index card or something of that nature to kind of just get some air on that and make sure that it's pretty dry. If you do this next step while it's wet, you are not going to be satisfied with your results. It's just going to smear. So what I'm going to take is some buttermilk, and I mixed up all my paints pretty good before I came on, but there was a little bit of time in before I came on, and so it may have settled a little bit. So this is just Deco Art Americana buttermilk. So now I'm going to take, and I'm going to slowly spread that paint out, and just making sure that my paint is dry pretty well, because I don't want to stick my fingers on it. It'll ruin the stencil. And you can kind of see when your paint is dry because it's not shiny. All right, so I'm just going to roll that off here. Now I'm going to take another piece of paper, and then I'm going to lay that over top of that paint. And then I'm just going to press that into the jelly plate. And then we're going to pick up that stencil. And if you remember from previous videos, you will know that whatever you put on your plate first is on the front of your paper. Will come up on front. Whatever you put on last will be in the background. So I'm just making sure my jelly plate is nice and warmed up so that it'll pick up that paint, since I haven't really used it yet. So that's pretty good. Just make sure you don't have any bubbles, and if you do, just kind of push those out to the edges. And now we're pulling back what was left from that stencil. And with the lighter background, isn't that beautiful? That is such an easy process, and you don't have to use one big stencil. You can use small ones, and I'll show you that process as well. It's the very same. It just gives you a little bit different output, obviously. Right here, it looks like maybe my paint dried a little bit, or I didn't get enough paint right there, or I didn't press it in. So that's why you want to take your time and make sure that you go over fully, and then you get your paint spread out pretty well. I'm also just going to take, and I'm going to get this paint off the edges here. It's probably not going to pull it all up, but that's okay. Just clean that off a little bit. So what I have over here is some stamps, and I'm going to show you that process as well. So I'm going to use, let's see, what do we want to do? What color do we want our stamps to be? So I think I'm going to use this Villa Green. This is one of my favorite colors. I have to make sure that it's, this looks a little bit dry, which is interesting because this is a brand new bottle of paint. Let me get in here and see what's going on. Yeah. Oh, look at that blob. I'm just going to pull that out and get that off of there. Get the actual paint back in there. Just went and got some paints that I hadn't seen in a while. They had a restock at Michael's, and so some of my favorite colors I have been without for a while. And one of my favorite colors I still couldn't find, so I'm going to have to try to find it online, but this one was there, so I got several bottles of that. Boy, am I making a mess. Okay. That reminds me, I always keep some wipes handy also. And I'm going to get that little blob that I left on there off because I don't want that to keep showing up in the jelly prints that I keep doing, and that will happen if you leave that there. Now, sometimes if you're just trying to do random stuff, that's quite all right. But not when you're trying to do something with a stencil. It's not going to look good. All right. So just going to spread this out evenly again. Okay. Roll off my excess. And now, this is the easiest process ever. So I am going to take and just very gently wiggle this stencil in here, wherever I want it. And I am thinking backwards. I should have done the green last, but that's okay here. I think I'm just going to do 4. And you can also stamp that. You see it does come out pretty nicely. I've got something going on there. I'm not sure. It's a blob. Oh, from a stamp, I think. Okay. You put one up here. One down here. Maybe something like that. There we go. All right. And that doesn't take very long. And so your paint probably hasn't dried yet very well. And so I'm going to get another index card because I ruined that other one with my blobby paint. And I'm just going to take that and dry that. Now you could pick this up now, but it's probably not going to have much of an effect because really what you're going to see is the underside of this. And so that's the reason we're going to do another color on top. And the color that we do on top is going to go into here and then be on the background of where we didn't stamp. So pressure is important when you're doing this step. This time I did not put a lot of pressure and I just wiggled a teeny tiny bit in here. And then I'll show you the difference when you put a lot of pressure and you wiggle a little bit more in our next one. But this will be a more subtle effect. Okay, I think we're good. And then I'm going to take, what color do I want? Should I do a dark blue? Let's do a dark blue. So I'm going to use this Folk Art Look At Me blue. This is a new blue that I picked up. I had never seen before. I'm just going to do like this so it evens out better a little bit. And so what this does is it pushes that darker paint down into the negative space that we created with the stamp. Isn't that a gorgeous blue? Okay. Might get this cleaned off too. Okay, now we're going to go in with another piece of paper. Just make sure that is down everywhere. It doesn't really matter if you get paint on the other side, because you're always going to cover that up with paint, or it's going to be a side that you're not really using, so that doesn't matter. Okay, I think I'm good. Oh my goodness, this is so pretty. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, that is a beautiful jelly print. I love that. I wonder why that didn't pick up. Oh, you know what? I think that has some cream on it, so it's still picking up some of that cream. But look how beautiful that turned out, and it's just, it's kind of faint. It's really pretty. Love that. All right, I'm gonna put that one aside. I'm gonna get this paint off of here. The reason that I do that is sometimes that paint doesn't dry 100%, and I don't want to drag it into something else that I'm doing if I'm not using that color. I just get as much off as I can. Okay. All right. So that turned out pretty good. I'm not sure I need to show you with more pressure because that did fill up that space with that dark blue. But just know, if you go in and you use a little more pressure and a little more wiggle, the more negative space you're going to get in there. But you're probably going to want to dab off your stamp in between doing that. And then I have a wipe over here, and I just put my stamp on that, and that way it doesn't dry out, and then that way I can still clean my stamp afterwards, and that paint hasn't dried off. Of course it would come off even if I didn't do that, but it's much easier if it's still wet. And so let me show you with a couple of smaller ones. I did some of these yesterday. These are some Tim Holtz stencils, and I love these. They're so pretty. And let us go with this color. This is called Patina. It's folk art. It's a very pretty color. And I'm just doing short little strides with my brayer now so that I can pick up that paint and it doesn't make those teardrop blobs that I hate. Isn't that color gorgeous? Look at that. And then I'm going to lay down the stencil. I'm going to do it at the edge. Now these kind of look like tabs, and I guess you can put them on rings. And so I'm going to lay it to where that hole doesn't show, so it doesn't cover up all of the paint. So I'll just do that. And I'm doing the edges first, and then I'll do the middle last, so that we know how much space we have to work with. And then I want to do this one going this way. You know what? I'm going to do it this way. I've been doing it the other way, but I think it would be good to do it this way. That way that's, you can take that off, or it'll be a nice strip down there at the bottom. Okay. Now I'm just going to take a blank piece of paper. I'm going to press it into that paint up at the top first because I want it to stay in place. These are smaller. These have a lot of more intricate details in them, and so the stencil doesn't have as much paint to grab onto because the openings are smaller. So I'm going to be careful and not move my page around much, and that's why I like that there, because my paper will stay put because it's stuck in that paint up there. Now these do take a little more time, so you have to be patient and work with these. But you can check also, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. You can kind of lift up and check where you need to press. So I need to press some more right here. And it'll go right back down where it was in the same place, so you're not going to get it messed up. So I think that's pretty good. And then this is what you have. And then these you could cut and use them in some art, you know, or whatever you choose. You could put some gold over it. You could do another color on the jelly plate and lay this down again, and then you would have two colors if you laid the stencils down in the same order. And that looks pretty as well. I do that. But now we're going to take these stencils off. So we'll see the pattern here. And they do leave lines, like this one has a line in between. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down and I'm going to run down that line and get rid of it. This one doesn't really have one because the stencil overlapped pretty well. So I'm not going to worry about that one. All right, now I'm just going to dry it a little bit. You could lay these down any way you want. You could do them diagonally, where you would probably get one in the middle, and I would probably start in the middle with that and then put the other two on that, and that would be pretty. I think we're good here. And let's see, what color do I want to do with this? I think I'm going to use the pale blue. I love blues and greens, can you tell? That Craft Smart paint, that particular paint color is really thin, and so it's almost like that pouring acrylic, but it's not. But I do love how smooth it is. And see how pretty this is getting? Even though all I'm doing is rolling my brayer on it, that is so pretty. That would make a beautiful background for something. Now I get a clean piece of paper. You could go over to the side and get your favorite stencil in, or you can just do it in the middle like I'm doing and get the two on this edge will be cut off a little bit, but that's okay. Again, I'm just making sure that I am covering all of that paper with the paint that I've got laid down. And it is important that you press so that it'll pick up that initial stencil print on the back as well, which is now getting ready to be the front. Oh, so this blue overtook that patina. It's hard to see that. There you go. So that's pretty faint. I should have maybe done cream, but you can see. Or I should have done a darker blue. Yep, that's why I love to do the darker color first and then a lighter color afterwards. I thought this would So you can see these two colors here. I thought for sure this would be lighter, but it overtook it somewhat. But that is still very pretty, and you can see here. Isn't that gorgeous? Very pretty. And then I thought that, you know, we could just take some time if you want to stick around for a little bit, and I could show you some of the stencils that I've been working with. I got on joggles.com some Klimt stencil sets, and I think Elizabeth St. Hildare is the one who designed them, and I will link that in the description box if you are interested to go and see those stencils for yourself. But the first stencil that we used, this one, was one of those, and I just love them. I think they're gorgeous, and I have several of those that I've been working with and having some fun with. This is one of them. This one is really cool. I love that one. And I'm not going to remember the names of all these, and I'm sorry, but if you go and you look on the... I was just looking on the paper to see if there was a name on there. If you go on the joggles.com website, it gives you the names of all of them. All right, so I'm going to go... Let's do this... Look at Me Blue, because it's darker. I think this one's going to be cool. This one has such a cool pattern. I love the way that it turns out. So what I'm using all of my Gelli plate papers for, I'm making another round of batik journals, and I put just loads of these painty papers in there. Some are solids, some have stencils, and they're just really fun. And you can use those for backgrounds for art journaling, or just, you know, use it for a travel journal, because they're pretty small. They're 4 by 5, 5.5, something like that, these journals. But I'm going to make some traveler size notebooks too. This go around with the batik fabrics and these beautiful papers. So as per usual, I'm just going to take my paper, my blank piece of paper, and lay it down. This pattern looks so simple, but it is the coolest pattern. Oops, I moved it a little bit. Look at that. Look at that. It's so cool. I'm not really going to worry about it. I'm just going to sit it back down and get some more of that. Okay. Oh, yeah. Very cool. I love that page. All right. And now we're just going to pull the stencil up. And then let us do, I mean, I've been sticking with the buttermilk or vintage white or antique white. Colors like that really make this pop. I feel like a little bit wet. I might have to dry that. I got impatient, y'all. I know this video is going for a little while. If you stuck with me this far and you're enjoying the process, smash that like button. I appreciate it so much. And tell me which one of these processes in the comments that you like the best so far. I will probably go for an hour today, and you can speed up as you like during the pressing and the fanning if you want to. But Gelli printing does take time, and it's just a process, so it cannot be helped. that is really thin paint, so I'm going to grab that really fast because it will have a tendency to dry. The less paint you put on there, the quicker it dries, so I want to make sure and get all that up. Okay. Look at how beautiful that is. And that's pulling other stuff off my plate. Look how cool that is. It almost looks like books on shelves, doesn't it? Really super cool. Love that. Okay. All right, so I've done those two. Try to get those out of the way. And let's do this one. This one is called The Kiss. If you're familiar with Klimt, you probably know that what The Kiss is. It's one of his artworks. And I do know what the name of that one is. So, all right, let's get this paint off the side. Maybe I will just speed up this video during these processes if I can get through the editing today, because sometimes I don't have time to do that. Okay, so let's use some pink. Actually, I think this pink is really pretty. Vintage Tea Rose. This is Folk Art Matte. And I will say for the matte paints, just know that they dry faster as well, and they don't pick up super great off the jelly plate, so you might need to squirt a little bit more on your plate. That's my experience anyway. Dries super fast, and it's not as slick, so it doesn't come off on the paper as well. So I'm going to work kind of fast here on this one. Get the kiss on there. Blank piece of paper, and I'm going to stay over here because I want to get their faces. I'm going to hold on to my piece of paper down there just to make sure that I don't let go. Because I do love it, the image that I pull up from the negative space in the stencil. Just going to dig in a little bit with my fingers. I should have put this over a little bit because I missed that. I can get that next time, I guess. And there we go. And there's the kiss. I have a hard time seeing it with this stencil. I see her really well, but I don't see him as well. Anyway, still a very cool stencil. I'm gonna get this off. Put that back. Klimt is very abstract, and so his artwork is kind of up there with Picasso, but not quite. He has a Zentangly effect. It's very otherworldly, but very cool. Okay. I hate to dry this so much because it's a little hard to come up, and I might have to have 2 pulls with this matte paint. I have noticed that the multi-surface It's usually satin paint. Gives you a much easier pull and a much cleaner pull. I have experiments. So when I went to Michael's, I bought all kinds of paint. I bought Golden. I bought Artist Loft. I'm trying to think of the names of them. I think is maybe Michael's brand. And something else. I'm going to put a lot of paint on there so I can get it pulled, hopefully. And I came home and I tried them all. And honestly, I like these paints that I have out better. I don't know why. I thought maybe I could use less paint with the Golden and Artist Loft and things like that, but I just didn't get the hang of it yet or something. I must be malfunctionary. I don't know, is that a word? And people are probably going, oh, how dare you say that about Golden paints? It's the best. But when I'm jelly printing, I don't know. And maybe I need to work with it. To be fair, my jelly plate was not 100% warmed up. And I kind of tried each one and moved on. And I haven't gone back yet. But I need to do that. Because I see people who are using them and they make beautiful jelly prints. So maybe it's operator error. My hands are getting so painty today. All right. That one has turned out lovely. I love that. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, there he is. Okay. There he is. So there's his hair. There's his eye and his nose right there. It's so hard to see in the stencil, but after you do this, there he is. And I think that's his hand, and that's her hand. Really cool. All right, I like the way that turned out. And more paint made me a successful jelly print, and I didn't leave any on the plate, which was wonderful. I like that a lot. Okay, let's get this off. Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. It's Saturday here, and the sun is shining. It had rained for a while, and it was kind of gloomy, and so I'm glad there's no more rain, at least. Okay. All right, so I think I'm going to do light blue this time. No. Where is that? Desert Sky. Where is powder blue? I love that color. We could use Robin's Egg. This is a really pretty color. It's kind of a powdery green blue when it's done. All right. I'm just picking random colors. I'm not trying to do anything specific, just something fun. And I gravitate towards those colors so much. Okay. I wish these had the names of the stencils on here, but these are trees. I'll put that down and get my paper. I think Elizabeth said that maybe she uses the 8x10 and that the 9x12 fits all the way over it. And then that way you don't have any space on the edge of the paper. I bought an 8x10 plate, but I haven't broke it out yet, and I need to try it. I just continue to get paint all over myself. Torture myself on purpose. You can kind of tell when it's getting the divots in it that you're adhered to the paint. Isn't that cool? I love that. I love these stencils so much. They're the best thing that I bought this year. So here's Joggles, joggles.com. And look for the Elizabeth St. Hilaire or Klimt, Klimt. And those stencils will come up for you. There was a couple collections. My hands are tired or something. I think there was a couple of sets of those. All right, I'm going to do a gold background this time. I usually don't like to do a full gold background. I like some of it as an accent, but it's really hard to place paint on a jelly plate, so I'm just going to do the whole thing. But it gives it such a pretty effect. Try to get up to the top here so I can get all those trees at the top and I don't cut them off. I'd rather cut them off at the bottom side. Trying to change up my light a little bit. There we go. Okay. I think this is going to be so pretty. Can't wait. Oh, this is gorgeous. Pretty that is. I just love gold. So that metallic gold is one of my favorite paints ever. Look at that. It's gorgeous. Love how that turned out. That is super spectacular. Okay. So I get this Folk Art multi-surface metallic acrylic paint. This one is 14 karat gold. They have different colors. I think it's the champagne gold is a little bit lighter, and it is gorgeous as well. I'm not sure if I got a big one of that while I was at Michael's or not. But Michael's has some really cool coupons now, so you can get like, I had some rewards, which I didn't even know until I went on to my app. Actually, I went into my email and I was like, let me just see if I have any Michael's rewards or if there's any coupons in there. And I had a $25 coupon, a $10 coupon, and a $5 rewards coupon. So I really racked up on the paint. I was so excited. And then the lady that was ringing me out said, now scroll down in the coupons and you should have a 20% off your entire order. So I also got a 20% off my entire order. So if nothing else, you can get 20% off your entire order. Okay, now that I have done this gold, I want to show you something. So I'm going to put down, what is this? Vintage white. Maybe I'm gonna do this buttermilk because I think it might show up a little better. Because I can see there's some things on my plate and I want to pick that up because it has a really beautiful finish. It's kind of like you're picking up crumbs with a piece of bread. Isn't that a beautiful color? So I'm not going to put anything on here. I'm just picking up paint because I want to pick up all those crumbs I see on there. That were left over on the jelly plate. Okay. So I see some blue. Very pretty. Hopefully I'm going to grab some of that gold. Might take a second to see that. So do you see that? It's so subtle, but it's there. See, there's some gold. And it's just kind of crusty. I like it. It's like an old wall that has layers and layers of paint on it. Look right there. See how you can see? You can see that. And the gold is in there. It's just not picking up. Maybe if I change my light again. Let's see. Anyway, I love it when that happens. I can see it. I know it doesn't probably show up on the camera very well. Okay. All right, what are we going to do next? So now we have this one, and I'm watching my time. Isn't this so cool? It looks like, it reminds me of macaroons or hamburgers. I don't know. One of the two. But so this one is very cool. So I'll do this last one, and then I will, so I don't keep you too awfully long, and then I'll show you the rest of the stencils, and maybe we'll do a couple more, but I'm going to get this paint off of here for now. Off these sides, and I really need to dig out my 8x10 plate, and I wouldn't have to worry about that, but that's okay. Get some good crusties on there, and I love some good crusties. Okay, so for this, what color I'm going to use? I'm going to use this Coral Reef color. That's a Craft Smart paint as well, and it's pretty thin too. It's satin acrylic, and I love how that finishes out. Oops, screwed it too far down. Get that off of there. That's spread out nicely. Look how cool these rolly papers turn out. They're just, I know I've said it before, they make really good backgrounds. Okay, let's get this one down. Get some paper. This is another one that makes really good negative space. Like, I don't have to do anything else to this page when I'm done with it. And if I'm going to use these in a journal, what I'll do is I'll leave this side, but then I'll do something on the other side. But usually I do, for every print that has a pattern in it, I'll do just a solid on the other side. That way it kind of offsets. Your eye always needs somewhere to rest at some point when you're looking at things. Don't want to overdo it. Look how pretty that is. I might take another piece of paper because I might just do the, no, is that dry? Yeah. I'll just do the back. There's some excess paint down there that I want to get. And I can always cover up the back of this page with some more paint layers. And you'll never know that this was on there. So, yep, had a little bit more on there. Just going to pull that up. I love how dainty these stencils are, and that I love the opportunities that we get with these because of that, because of how cool and thin they are. Like, some of them are so thick that you don't get the opportunity to have all this play space. Like, you get a bunch of big, thick space in between. Masking, you know, it's more of a mask than a stencil. And there is a difference between a mask and a stencil. And these are actually probably masks. Stencils are what you lay down, and then the you see the cutout of the item. Let's say you wanted to paint a bunny on something. So the stencil would be solid except for the cutout of a bunny, and that's a stencil. So these are masks, I'm pretty sure. Okay, let's get some drying going here. Some supersonic speed drying. Trying anyway. Okay. All right. And then do I want to use... I hate the color choices. I just keep going for the plain. But it turns out so nice. I'm going to use Desert Sky. That's what I'm going to do. So we're going to do opposite colors this time. Now this is a Craft Smart, but this one is thicker for some reason. It's a satin. So I don't know. Go figure. Use this on top since my warm color is dry, and we'll use my cool color brayer. Oh, I think this is going to be pretty. I like to experiment a lot with colors, but I want you to be able to see, so I'm not getting too crazy here. This one's gonna be fun. Look at that. Isn't that so pretty? I love that. Look. Oh, it's beautiful. Is that not the coolest? I just love that. I wish I remembered the name of that. I should have wrote the names down before I took them out of their packaging. You know how that goes. Okay, so this one is very whimsical. I love this one. Have no clue what the name of it is, but that one is really fun. I mean, they're all fun. That one is cool. get that one. It's some flowers. I think that was flowers. I think that was called flowers. I don't know. Let's see what else we got. This one with some triangles. Pretty cool. Klimt uses a lot of patterns in his art, and it just is so interesting to me. Here's another tree. That is beautiful. There's some more swirl. I think this one is waves. I think that's called waves. That's what that is. And what else do we have? Oh, yes, these. So they're getting stuck together. This one is one of my favorites. And that's little bubbles, but I can't remember what that one is called either. I don't know why. I think I'm going to. Here's one. It's got some waves in it. Not sure if that's the way that goes. And then this one. And then I think there's just two more. So I think this is music notes, maybe. Doesn't that look like music? And this one. And I have had so much fun with these. I absolutely adore them. So let me see. I'm not sure if I have some I can show you finished. Let's see. Making a big crash over here. So all right. So that one is pretty. But there's that one that I did another time. The swirls. That's my painty scrape. Look at that. Isn't that cool with that blob of gold in it? Swirls. I tried to do a bunch of the same at one time with my stencil, so I didn't have to change out so much. So here's one of those where I said you could go over the negative space twice, and that makes a very cool effect. These are just some plain papers. There's a mandala that I did. That was not part of that collection. Here's one. Isn't that pretty? Love that. It looks like a road going to somewhere. Now this turned out gorgeous. This is kind of what I was talking about and the effect that I was trying to get when I was using that gold. And isn't that pretty? Love that. Let's see what we got down here at the bottom. I've been doing a lot of jelly printing, can you tell? Here's that, the big wave there. Oh, there's that one. Is that cool or what? Doesn't that give you 70s vibes? I love that. And that's the negative space one that I did twice, and that's one that I did with that. So I'm having so much fun with these, guys. So much fun. I hope you have enjoyed today's little jelly print escapades, and I hope that you found some value in this. And again, if you have not, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. And let me know if you do some fun jelly printing. Bye-bye. See you next time.